Well, hello and welcome to Southbound, an NFL podcast. My name is Matt, and if you notice something a little bit different about today's episode, I am flying solo. That is because my schedule has been very wacky, not Quackers, but because of that, it just made sense to do this episode solo to accommodate my schedule. So apologies to Quacker for that happening, and apologize to you all that have to put up with my voice and don't get to hear Quacker. So anyway, all right. So this is Southbound. This is a new show. This is our third episode. And we are an NFL podcast primarily focused on the NFC South and then furthermore the Saints. Obviously, starting an NFL podcast as a Saints fan this year, as Saints fans, was not a great idea for us because there's going to be a lot more negative than positive to talk about. But before we do that, a couple pieces of news from around the NFL. So first, unless you lived under a rock, you already know this. Joe Burrow is out for, looks like at least 3 months. So let's talk about this for a second. It's obviously sad. Joe Burrow has proven that he is one of the great talents in the NFL at the quarterback position. Unfortunately, this is his, sixth season? Because 2020 was his first year. So yeah, this is his sixth year. And unless I'm forgetting a year, the only season he finished was the year they went to the Super Bowl. And even that year, I think he missed a few games in that year. Now, I could be wrong about that. And he also could have finished a year that I'm not remembering. But he has been injured, for the remainder of the season multiple times in his young career. So, at a certain point, we have to ask ourselves, it's his fault or he's bad or anything like that. What it means is Joe Burrow has become injury prone. And, and that's unfortunate because like I said, he is one of the great talents in the NFL. And in more trivial news, he was on one of my fantasy teams, so I had to drop him. That's okay, because I started 0-2 in that league anyway. All right, so as I was talking, got a few updates. So Brock Purdy has returned to practice, and Emeka Ibuka missed practice today. And that was actually what I was going to get into next anyway, is Xavier Worthy is back in practice for the Chiefs. Obviously, if you watch the game in Brazil and Sao Paulo to start the season on the Friday night, first or second play from scrimmage, he and Kelsey collided. We've talked about it. Kelsey has felt really bad about it. He's come out and spoken about it, how he felt like it was on him. Whether or not it was, we don't know. But Worthy has not played since then. So that's good news for the Chiefs. Another thing on the Chiefs, they lost again today. We're going to go and start with the Chiefs before we jump into these other teams because it's just a natural transition. So the Chiefs lost in Brazil to the Chargers, who are a really good team. They lost to the Eagles, who are a really good team. I don't think the sky is falling for Kansas City. Do I think that they have a lot of work to do to be Super Bowl contenders? Yeah, but we've seen this play out with the Chiefs before. So I'm just looking at their schedule. So first, I want to put a couple things into perspective. So the first game was in Brazil, so that wasn't a home game for either team. But for what it's worth, the Chiefs were designated the away team, so they didn't get to pick the coin toss. But they lost that game by 6 points. Okay, then they go to Philadelphia and lose by 3. So 2 one-score games, neither of which are at Arrowhead. And I would say that along with New Orleans and, well, maybe not this year, but along with New Orleans and Seattle, Arrowhead is one of the few NFL venues that home field is like really real. So I think that's going to matter. And they get the New York Football Giants at home this Sunday. So we will see a little bit of, and hopefully if Worthy plays as well, and I don't know if he's going to play. I just know he's returned to practice. So we will see, hopefully, a reinvigorated Chiefs team. And I say hopefully just because I like the good teams to be good. I don't care if the Chiefs are, the evil empire. I never disliked the Patriots when they were good. I just want the teams that are supposed to be good. Now, what I will tell you is if we see the Chiefs and the Ravens and the 49ers and the Packers in the conference championship games, I am a little sick of like those four teams being right at the top. I know there's some other teams like Buffalo and Detroit, obviously, that have made some noise, in the Rams that have made noise recently. But I just kind of get sick of those four always being up there. But I don't have any I don't necessarily have any hate or disdain for any of those specific teams. So let me move on from that because you guys don't care about my hate for specific teams. So let's start with the weekend results. So the Packers hosted the Commanders and won the game 27-18. And then the Jaguars went to Cincinnati and lost 31-27. By the way, that puts the Packers at 2-0, the Commanders at 1-1, and the Jaguars at 1-1, and the Bengals at 2-0. So now, obviously, moving forward though, without Joe Burrow, the Cowboys hosted the Giants, and you probably saw this game. It went into overtime, and the Cowboys ran it all the way down to the end of the 10-minute period, kicked the field goal, and won the game 40-37. The Giants are 0-2. The Cowboys are 1-1. These are going to be the bottom two teams in the division, and it's not that I think either one of them are going to be bad. As a matter of fact, I kind of think these are both fairly good teams. I just think that the Giants have got to move on from Russell Wilson. I mean, the sooner that happens, the better it is for everybody involved. And when I say move on, I know they just brought him in, but I mean move on from him as the starter. I think they got to go ahead and give Jackson Dart the keys. Russell Wilson had his time in Seattle. That's been, like a decade ago since he was good. It's time to move on and get back to reality with that. The Cowboys, I think, are good. I just don't think they're good enough to compete in this division, which is kind of stacked. Now, I said just a minute ago, and I want to backtrack a little bit. These may not be the bottom two teams in the division. It could be that the Commanders wind up third because the Commanders have not looked that great. They are 1-1. They did win a game in week 1. Was it against the Giants? Hold on. Let me make sure I'm saying the right things here. Yeah, they played the Giants and they won 21-6. But they haven't looked like stellar, but they haven't looked bad. So it could be the Commanders in second, it could be the Commanders at second, or it could be the Cowboys. Likely, though, will be the Commanders. So moving on, the Bears dressed out against the Lions. That's about all they did. The Bears got beat on the road 52-21. That really doesn't surprise anybody. Yeah, so the Titans hosted the Rams, and the Rams won 33-19. Patriots beat the Dolphins in Miami 33-27. The Bills beat the Jets in New Jersey 30-10. And then the Seahawks went to Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers 31-17. The Ravens beat the Browns. Interesting there. If you're old enough to remember, the Ravens used to be the Browns before the Browns were the Browns. Chew on that for a second. The Ravens beat the Browns in Baltimore 41-17. The Colts edged the Broncos. I didn't get to watch this game. The final score is 29-28. So, by the way, the Daniel Jones-led Colts are 2-0. 2-0. And to the surprise of absolutely nobody who's ever seen a football in their life, Cleveland is 0-2. But that's, like I said, I don't think that surprises anybody. So kudos to you, Baltimore. Not, I was thinking Baltimore Colts. Indianapolis. That is a surprise I don't think many people saw coming. The Panthers moved to 0-2 after going to Arizona and losing to the Cardinals, 27-22. And I forgot to mention my team. The Saints hosted the 49ers. I'm not going to lie to you. So the final score is 27-21, I think. 26-21. So the Saints have lost two close games, and what it feels like in both of these games, that puts the 49ers at 2-0, by the way. But what it felt like in both of these games is that Spencer Rattler and the offense were getting about as comfortable as they needed to be. Like in the second quarter, they were accomplishing that level of comfort in the middle of the fourth quarter. Defense still looks pretty good. Needs to work on some things, though, still. So while I am not there is a part of me that thinks this team is a little better than I expected them to be. Full disclosure, before the season started, I thought they were somewhere between 7 and 9 wins. Not a playoff team, but somewhere between 7 and 9 wins. Tampa Bay is going to win the division. I mean, I don't think that many people would disagree with that. And the South isn't going to get a wild card spot. So I thought they were going to be between 7 and 9 wins. Do I still think they can get between 7 and 9 wins after losing to middle of the pack Cardinals and a good 49ers with their backup quarterback? Yes, I do. However, I do think it's starting to become a lot less likely because the Seahawks are good. Like they're not the Bills, they're not the Ravens, they're not the Eagles, but I mean they're really good and they're a very capable team. Don't know that the Saints are going to go into Seattle and win that game, but hey, stranger things have happened. So we'll see on New Orleans, and we're going to talk about them a lot more. But finishing out the scores from this past weekend, so the Eagles obviously beat the Chiefs 20-17, and that puts the Eagles at 2-0 and the Chiefs at 0-2. Falcons on Sunday Night Football beat Minnesota 22-6 in Minnesota. And that puts the Falcons at 1-1. Minnesota also at 1-1. And then the doubleheader on Monday night, Tampa Bay went to Houston and won the game 20-19. Weird game, super weird game. At times it felt like it was really competitive. At times it felt like Houston was about to lose control of the game, and the final score is a point. So, strange game. Now, full disclosure, we were recording Alumni House during part of this game, and so I'm like watching the game out of the corner of my eye, but also trying to, focus on what Quacker's saying and what I'm saying. So, I didn't get to watch a ton of it, but or pay super close attention, but I did watch. And another division rival in the South that's not New Orleans is 2-0. So that's awesome. Bigger surprise, though, than the Bucs being 2-0 is that the Texans are 0-2. I don't think anybody thought the Texans were going to be like 17-0, but the Texans have been trending upward with Stroud, with Ryans. That's not to say they can't get it figured out. Listen, as a Saints fan, I remember, I believe it was 2017 it must have been. Yeah, but I don't know, 2017 or 2018 when the Saints started 0-2 and then like didn't lose a game until Thanksgiving. Now I'm pretty sure that was also the year that they gave up like the worst prevent defense touchdown in playoff history to the Minnesota Vikings. But yeah, so 0-2 is not the end of the world, but man, I think this is a big surprise because Houston, that like I said, they've really been looking up, and I think that that everybody sort of expected them to be one of the better teams in the league this year. So we'll see how that works out. Like I said, 2 years does not. I'm sorry, trying to read while I'm talking. 2 losses does not mean a whole lot, but what it does mean is that they're 0-2, so they've got some work to do. All right. So, and then the final game of the weekend recap: the Chargers went to Las Vegas and beat the Raiders 20-9, and that puts the Chargers at 2-0 and the Raiders at 1-1. All right. So let's move on to the games that start tomorrow night, and that is Thursday, September the 18th, and the start of Week 3. All right, so to kick us off tomorrow night, we've got the Dolphins going to Orchard Park to play the Bills. Good luck, Miami. Miami's looked really bad. Now, that's an 0-2 team that I do think the sky is falling. I do think it's trouble in the air. Miami, I don't know what's going on with McDaniel. I don't know what's going on with just the team as a whole. But they have not looked good. I don't expect them to be very competitive in this game, but we'll see. I mean, stranger things have happened in the NFL. I mean, all of these teams are good. You know the old adage, you could take the best college team ever, put them against the worst NFL team ever, the game wouldn't even be close. And I think I say all that to say, just anecdotally, it's still NFL teams are still NFL teams. They look bad compared to these really great teams who have everything rolling. But so while I expect Buffalo to win this game and win without much of a fight, like I said, stranger things have happened. All right, so in another snoozer to start us off on Sunday, we've got the Packers going to Cleveland. I mean, I don't know which Fox game I will get regionally, but I mean, all I can say is hope and pray that you don't get that one, because that one, that one might be over by halftime because, yeah, Cleveland's got some issues. The Packers don't. Not right now, they don't. So, all right. So then we're moving on to Tennessee hosting Indianapolis in a divisional game. I do think this will be a good game. I think the Colts, I mean, if they continue to play like they've been playing, obviously I think they'll win, but I think that'll be a good game. Bengals are going to Minnesota. Let's see what the 2025 post-Joe Burrow experience looks like for Cincinnati this time around. The Steelers are going to Foxborough to play the Pats. I don't know why I said it like that. I don't ever say Pats. I always say Patriots, but for some reason my brain went to Pats. But the Steelers are going to New England to play the Patriots in a game I'm looking forward to watching. Another game that I think is going to be good is a battle of a couple undefeateds. LA, that is the Rams version of LA football, is headed to Philadelphia to play the Eagles in a matchup between two teams that are 2-0. Also in the 1 o'clock window, the Jets are going to Tampa Bay. Jets are 0-2, but they haven't, they didn't look as good this week. They lost by 20 points, but obviously they were very competitive against the Steelers in week 1. So here's the problem, though. Fields isn't playing this week. He has been ruled out. So that's going to be a problem because they're going to Tampa Bay to play the 2-0 Bucks. With Fields, I think you got a decent shot. I don't know what your chances are without Fields. But we'll see. We'll see. That game is in the 1 o'clock window. Also in the 1 o'clock window, Las Vegas, West Coast heading out to the East to play the Commanders in the 1 o'clock game. And the reason I said it like that is that matters when a West Coast team has to play in the early window. I don't think it matters as much when East Coast have to play in the late window because it's still in like your normal like daily cycle, you know. For instance, you know, when typically when an East Coast team heads out to play in the West, they play in the later window, which is kind of like them playing in their early window here, you know. So does it matter a lot for NFL teams because these guys are pros? No, but it matters a little bit. So Raiders at Commanders should be a good game. Two 1-1 teams, but 2 1-1 teams that I expect to have winning records at the end of the year. Falcons are going to Charlotte to play the Panthers. Not much to say here. The Panthers kind of look business as usual, so I think Falcons are going to win that game. Would not bet against the Falcons in that one if I were you. Then the Texans are going to Jacksonville. Can they right the ship? Jacksonville's 1-1, and the Texans are 0-2. I don't know. Etienne's looked good so far, and I don't think Trevor Lawrence has looked bad. So we'll see. I expect that they do right the ship, that they get back to their winning ways this weekend. But we'll see what happens in Jacksonville. On to the late afternoon window or the 4 o'clock window, starting with my boys, the Saints, going to Seattle to play the Seahawks. I expect the Seahawks to win this game. Would be thrilled if the Saints won it. I am not and will not be a fan who wants my team ever to tank. I don't want them to have a bad year. Listen, we're only on this earth for a handful of decades. Like 8 months out of the year, we spend waiting for football season. I'm not willing to concede before a season starts or a few games into a season that I don't care about my team this year. That's silly. So you can get a draft pick? No, you're not a real fan. You're a fake fan. So, yeah, I want the Saints to do good, even though I think their ceiling is 9 wins. And I think that's like their absolute, like, everything goes perfect ceiling. So I'd be thrilled if they win. I don't think they will. I think Seattle wins this game. 7.5 is the spread. I mean, it's probably pretty close to right. I expect it to be around a touchdown. So we'll see what happens in that one. On to games that people other than their fans probably care about. 1-1 Broncos headed to LA to play the 2-0 Chargers. I'm excited about this game. I'm kind of bummed that my team is playing in this at the same time as this game is happening because I would really like to watch this game. I think the Chargers are really good. I think the Broncos are really good. I think the Chargers are in midseason form right now, and the Broncos aren't. But that doesn't mean that the Chargers are just going to run away with it. So I'm excited to watch that and see how it plays out. Then moving just a smidge later in the window to 4:25, the Cowboys are headed to Chicago to play the Bears. I expect the Cowboys to win this game. I don't expect it to be very close. I think the Bears are really bad, and I haven't been a believer in Caleb Williams. I mean, I thought he was good at USC, but I never really understood the hype about the whole generational quarterback. And maybe it's just because he's in Chicago. I think Chicago did bad things for Justin Fields, so it could be that's all it is. But, yeah, I think the Cowboys run away with this one and get to 2-1. Cardinals are headed to Santa Clara to play the Niners. Battle of two 2-0 teams. Battle of two different 2-0 teams. So, Saints fan said that 5 times, right? Only team in the league that have played this year's versions of both of these teams. The Saints played better against the Niners, who are arguably a better team. However, the difference is the Niners didn't have Kittle. They didn't have Purdy. I don't think they will have Kittle or Purdy this week. Okay. So as of 33 minutes ago, 49ers say Purdy has a chance to return versus Cardinals. So if Purdy's back, I don't think Kittle's back. I think he was out for a couple of weeks. But if Purdy's back, the Niners win this game. I don't think it's a blowout. I think the Cardinals are good. I just don't think they're. I mean, I think they're fringe playoff, probably on the outside looking in. So I expect the Niners to win this game, but we'll see what happens. And also, whether or not Purdy does in fact play, I think will also matter. And then in the Sunday night football game, that will be the Chiefs headed to New York. So think about this. So national TV, only game in the window that's on. You have the 0-2 Chiefs, who were back-to-back Super Bowl champions before losing in somewhat embarrassing fashion in the Super Bowl, which is the most watched sporting event in the world. Then they go to Sao Paulo, Brazil, lose a game to in a broadcast that was the only game on TV. Then they play the Eagles, which certainly was not the only broadcast on during the Sunday afternoon windows. There were lots of games on, but was certainly the most watched game. I don't actually. Let me walk back the word certainly. I haven't actually looked at the ratings, so I don't know that. But I would be floored if it wasn't, because it's two of the best teams in the league. Having said that, the 0-2 Chiefs are now in a national game. Nationally broadcast game, so we don't have to deal with the NFL regional stuff, against the 0-2 Giants. On paper, I think the Chiefs win this one because, I haven't been a believer in Dayball. I am not super in love with how the Giants organization has been run recently. And the Chiefs are the Chiefs. But there's something about this Giants team that I think I think they're hungry in a way they haven't been before. Now, having said that, all right, I do think they're hungry. I think they're competitive. I think they're going to be good. I hesitated because I didn't know if I wanted to say this. They have. I know I already alluded to this before. I cannot pick the Giants until they start giving Jackson Dart the start. No, I didn't mean to rhyme there, but whatever. Said what I said. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. I do not think that Jackson Dart today is better than or even as good as Russell Wilson is today. But if Jackson Dart starts playing, you have two positive things going for you. A, you don't have to deal with the ego of a quarterback who is literally the definition of a has-been. He has not been good for a decade. Which begs the question, was it the incredible roster he had around him? Was it the incredible coach who's been won everywhere he's been? Or was it the guy who seemingly has burned every relationship he's had in the NFL? I don't know. But you don't have to deal with that. You don't have to deal with an arrogant quarterback who is apparently washed up. And you're working towards the future. You get to see what this kid you drafted so high can do for you. So, no, I don't want anyone to hear me saying, because I'm not. I am not saying Jackson Dart gives the Giants a better chance to win. Except, I do think Jackson Dart, there is one area where I think Jackson Dart automatically gives them a better chance to win. He's very athletic for the type of quarterback he is, but here's the big thing, all right? Jackson Dart is teachable. If he's not, I guess I should say I guess I should say it a different way. I believe Jackson Dart is teachable from the things I've read. We all know how sports media is. I don't know how accurate some of the things I've read are, but I've read a lot of things that suggest to me that Jackson Dart is teachable. He's hungry. He's eager. He's got a good attitude. Jackson Dart has had tutelage from Jameis Winston. Knock him all you want. I remember, I lived most of my life in the state of Florida. I remember all of us collectively laughing at Jameis Winston in college. All of us collectively sighing and groaning because all we thought was he's just this terrible person, whether it be the awful allegations that were thrown upon him, or the crab legs incident, which is a lot more lighthearted and certainly funnier, or the standing up on the table, and I don't even know, there was another incident. And then he was a walking GIF for a while with the whole body symmetrical, so on and so forth. But don't look now, but Jameis Winston has become one of the beacons of character in the NFL. I'm not in an NFL locker room, so I can't speak directly to his attitude. But it seems like everywhere he goes, teammates absolutely love him. He's always got a positive attitude on the mic. You want to tell me that a guy like that's not good for a young guy? When on the other side of the field, he sees some guy like Russell Wilson who literally thinks he's about 3 or 4 tiers better than he actually is. Jackson Dart's got a lot going for him. Get him out there. Get rid of Russell Wilson. Well, you're not going to get rid of him this season in all likelihood. You could trade him, but you won't. But get him off the field. Let's see what this rookie can do. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's not. All right, so there's my rant about that. So, hold on one second. I think that was the last game. Let me make sure I didn't miss a game. Oh, no, one more. So Monday Night Football, and this is this is a good one. So Monday Night Football, the 1-1 Lions traveling to the 1-1 Ravens. Do not miss that game. That one will be good. All right, so that's the NFL Week 3 slate. I hope you're as excited about it as I am, because I have to tell you that I think this is going to be a really, really good week. And what's cool about this now, we're starting to see the identity of some of these teams. But what's even more exciting for me is every year there's a team that either starts hot or starts ice cold, right? And around week 5 or 6 or 7, somewhere in that neighborhood, somewhere like in the mid-October range, the trajectory totally shifts. I love seeing that. Now, what I would not love is, if my team started off hot and the trajectory shifted downward for them. Maybe I love it because typically when that happens, it's typically not my team. My team either is good from the beginning or bad from the beginning. So, all right. Thank you guys for joining us on this special solo episode of Southbound. And don't worry, Quacker will be back next week, so you will not have to listen to me rant the entire time about the things that bug the heck out of me, which is good for all of us. And as a matter of fact, let me just say one thing. Quacker actually will be back tomorrow, because if you don't already, you need to check out Alumni House, which is our college football podcast, and we cover primarily, we will touch on other conferences, but 99.5% of what we talk about are the 5 conferences that predominantly reside in the Southeast, and those are Conference USA, the American Athletic Conference, the Sun Belt Conference, the Atlantic Coast or ACC Conference, and the SEC. So check us out. We come to you every Sunday and Thursday, and of course, Southbound is every Wednesday night. Thank you guys again. You can check me out on X. That is MATTHEWWBROWN. That is Matthew with 2 extra W's, brown like the color. As always, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Have a great night, guys.